We got labeled as difficult because I said one word, and that was no. Now, I said no to some very powerful people. I said no to Oprah Winfrey. Full intentions of having my parents on your show and not saying anything to me. Was that for ratings?
It seemed like she exploited the situation.
Were you just exploiting me?
All right, so 4 years after Monique went public against Oprah, she has some tea to spill about the whole drama between Taraji P. Henson and Oprah. And we should all be tuning in when Monique decides to talk.
Oh my God, listen, Oprah, Tyler, Lee, they have expiration dates just like me. Now, until they elevate, I'm gonna look at them like human beings.
She's been in the trenches, and she knows firsthand the kind of shade Oprah can throw. Taraji recently stirred up a storm by sharing how she nearly bailed on the new Color Purple remake, which Oprah's producing. Why? Well, they weren't offering her what she's worth. Taraji had a real moment of Oprah's BFF Gayle King's show, opening up about how fed up she is with having to fight tooth and nail for fair pay. She even considered quitting acting altogether. But Taraji's not alone in this. Remember when Monique went public with her beef against Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels? They blacklisted her as difficult just for refusing to promote a film for free, and her career took a major hit. Now fans are rallying behind Monique, saying Oprah needs to apologize big time. They're calling out Oprah, the wealthiest black woman around, for not stepping up enough for black actresses still grappling with unequal pay. But what's Monique's take on Taraji's current situation, and why was Taraji quiet when Monique was calling out Oprah back then? Let's dive into this juicy story.
In real time, was strong enough to go publicly and say, we can't throw our sister under the bus.
So here's the latest scoop you might have missed. Oprah's in hot water again after Taraji P. Henson let loose about some unfair pay practices in her latest gig. She was about to walk out on the new Color Purple adaptation. Can you believe it? This remake's a big deal. A joint venture by Oprah's Harpo Productions, Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment, SGS Pictures, and Quincy Jones Productions. Yeah, the same powerhouse is behind the iconic 1985 film where Oprah starred as Sophia. Now, Taraji's been in the business for over 20 years. She's an Oscar nominee for crying out loud, so you'd think snagging a decent paycheck would be a no-brainer, especially when Oprah's name is on the project. But that's not how it went down. Taraji revealed the initial offer they threw at her was downright insulting, and they didn't budge until she threatened to walk out.
You get tired. I hear people go, you work a lot. Well, have to. The math ain't mathing.
Taraji let it all out during a chat with Oprah's BFF, Gayle King, saying she's so over this constant battle for fair compensation that she's mulling over quitting acting altogether. She laid it bare. Even black actresses with her experience and clout are constantly having to fight for their due every time they step onto the set. And get this, Gayle was visibly shaken. The plan was to talk about The Color Purple, but all Gayle could do was nod and acknowledge how much she understood where Taraji was coming from.
Are you thinking about it?
It was only when she was nudged to respond to the conversation did she explain how tired she had gotten of constantly going above and beyond and still being underpaid.
It seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired.
So, just a heads up, even before all this drama unfolded in the interview, fans had already noticed Taraji P. Henson wasn't exactly thrilled while promoting The Color Purple. The tension was palpable, and if you were really watching, the body language between her and Oprah was telling. Then the whole thing exploded on social media. Both Taraji and Oprah tried to smooth things over with these posts where they were all praises for each other. But let's be real, these posts had studio PR stunt written all over them. Now, Taraji isn't the first to give these kinds of subtle signals about Oprah. She's likely treading carefully considering what happened to Monique. Remember back in 2009, Monique called out Oprah for blackballing her after her Precious debacle. The movie, directed by Lee Daniels and produced by Oprah and Tyler Perry, became a major talking point. Oprah and Tyler wanted Monique to go on an international press tour without any pay. Monique declined, choosing family time over unpaid work, especially since she's already met her contractual obligations for Precious.
There was a request from the movie studio that I fly to France for the Cannes Film Festival. I simply said I respectfully declined.
Monique and Oprah had a conversation where they agreed to disagree, but then the media started branding Monique as difficult and hard to work with. She explains how she had done everything she was supposed to be, but apparently that was not enough. Before Monique called out Oprah and Tyler Perry for blackballing her, she was lined up for some big roles. She was considered for Oprah's part in The Butler and a role in the 2009 Richard Pryor biopic. She was even nearly cast as Cookie in Empire before the role went to Taraji. But once her dispute with Oprah surfaced, all these opportunities disappeared. Monique shared with The Hollywood Reporter that Lee Daniels himself admitted she was being blackballed, saying it was because she didn't play the game.
I mean, if she plays ball, you got to play ball.
This is not just show. It's show business, and you got to play ball.
Now, nearly 15 years later, with Taraji speaking out about similar issues, fans are feeling like Monique has been vindicated and deserves an apology. But let's face it, an apology from Oprah and Tyler Perry seems unlikely, and at this point, it might not even mean much. There's a twist though. Taraji, who's now facing her own struggles with pay equality, reportedly received private support from Monique. People are starting to see Oprah in a new light, but there's talk about whether Taraji owes Monique an apology too. When Monique was initially speaking out, Taraji remained silent, possibly because she didn't want to jeopardize her new role on Empire. Some say Taraji was focused on her Empire paycheck and didn't want to cross Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, or Oprah. Ironically, now Taraji's the one speaking up about low pay on Oprah production. People are pointing out that Monique has been saying the same things for years, but didn't receive the same support. There's a bit of skepticism about the support for Taraji now, wondering why it wasn't there for Monique. It seems that Steve Harvey was in a very similar situation. The only difference was that they were able to sit down together and talk about what actually happened. Monique shared her feelings when she saw Steve publicly disown his friend, and how that was sort of unbelievable.
And when I heard you go on the air and you said, my sister done burnt too many bridges, and there's nothing I can do for her now. Steve, do you know how hurt I was?
Steve was also amongst the people that Monique considered a friend and who supported her on her face. But when they realized how her career was bound to take a dip, Steve couldn't show much public support for her. It was during this interview that the two were able to talk it out, and Monique was able to let him know how hurt she was. Later during the interview, Steve defends himself by arguing that to a regular person, Monique's problems appeared to have been rich people problems.
This problem that you had in Netflix is rich people problems. Because they looking at us going, you talking about you didn't get millions.
He also showed how her announcements to boycott Netflix wasn't too wise. Steve's rationale was that there was no proper plan of action to achieve something as big as that.
Number one, the boycott of Netflix,
Yes.
we never gave people a point of action. Okay, if we're gonna boycott, are we gonna not get subscriptions? Are we gonna turn it off? Or are we gonna go down there and get signs?
Later on, Steve and Oprah talk out their issues. While Steve understands where Monique was coming from, he was of the opinion that both parties owe each other an apology. This surprised Monique a little, but at that point, both of them were pretty much done arguing.
These people owe you an apology. You owe those people an apology.
So, what's your take on this? Why didn't people show Monique the same support they're showing Taraji now? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to check out our next video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we shall see you next time.